Welcome back to the channel, you guys. This is Jake with PackMan Sports, back with a regular video. This time it's going to be on the Green Bay Packers, and I wanted to go over the recent news that just passed yesterday. Is that there have been some things going around for the Green Bay Packers, and there have been, the hiring of Nathaniel Hackett to the Denver Broncos, and we know the entire story around that. People are going to say that Aaron Rodgers is going to follow him to the Broncos. This is all being set up for Aaron, Devontae, and possibly Marquez to head on out of Green Bay and head over to the Rocky Mountains of Denver, Colorado, and join the Denver Broncos, and Aaron building a super team there. And that right there has been the narrative in the mainstream media, and I have no doubt that those things are going to continue on throughout the remainder of this month, next month, until anything happens, really, where the direction of how this is going to go, whether if Aaron decides to go to a different team that is not going to be the Denver Broncos, it could possibly be the Steelers. He could wind up being back here in Green Bay, fingers crossed. All that is going to be nonstop. It's going to be nonstop Aaron Rodgers Broncos, Aaron Rodgers Steelers, and all that stuff with the hiring of Nathaniel Hackett to the Denver Broncos. Regardless whether they have Aaron or not, I think that Nathaniel is going to do a very good job in Denver. Whether they go a different route, if they trade for a different quarterback, or if they decide to go the rookie route by drafting maybe Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh, or another quarterback that is going to make up his way into the first-round ranks, and he'll be selected with the 9th overall pick by the Denver Broncos if they decide not to trade up in the draft for the quarterback that they want. So this has a lot to do with the Packers, but on to the main thing is that the Packers are interviewing. They are interviewing for their vacancy at offensive coordinator. I know that Matt LaFleur has went on to say that he was going to plan to promote within. That could very well still happen, but the Packers have done this for a plan B, and they interviewed tight ends coach Kevin Koger from the Los Angeles Chargers. Kevin Koger here was with the Green Bay Packers 2 seasons ago. He was the offensive quality control coach, so there is that familiarity. And there's also expected to be an interview with quarterbacks coach from the Philadelphia Eagles, Brian Johnson. I'm going to go over each of those two guys individually a little bit. First, I'll go to Brian Johnson to give you guys a little bit of his background here on Wikipedia. Like I said, quarterbacks coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. His background here, if you guys can see this, I might have to zoom in here so you guys can see this, is that he was a quarterbacks coach in Utah to start out before going obviously bouncing around from a couple of other colleges as quarterbacks coaches and offensive coordinators. Before landing the quarterbacks coach with the Philadelphia Eagles this past season, I feel like it's a pretty big jump for Brian to go from having really not much experience as a professional experience, really, as a quarterbacks coach, let alone an offensive coordinator. It's quite a bit of a jump, but I think it might be a good gamble. I think that Brian does have some experience as an offensive coordinator in college. So I think it's probably it's likely the Packers are probably not going to go with Brian, but I think that it's probably a good responsible decision to bring him anyway. And now here's Kevin Koger, obviously the tight ends coach, a little bit of experience in college. He was a graduate assistant and then receivers and special teams coordinator at Eastern Kentucky, before landing the gig here as the offensive quality control coach for the Packers, being hired by Matt LaFleur. And then he landed the tight ends coaching job to go with Brandon Staley's staff. And it's possible we could be getting a reunion here and some familiar with Kevin possibly coming back to the Packers. The thing is here with Kevin and with Brian, if we decide to hire one of the two guys, he was not going to be calling the plays. Okay, it's going to be Matt. Matt is pretty much going to continue on with calling the plays. Kevin Kevin or Brian will be his right-hand man in helping the offense there. One of the two is going to be really handling the meetings and help game plan with Matt as far as that's how things are going to go. It's just going to be essentially going to be replacing Nathaniel. Now on to Luke Getsy. He's also the guy that is probably most likely going to be taking the spot if he doesn't land the offensive coordinator job with the Bears. They offered him this job yesterday, so that would be pretty bad news if Luke decided to head off to the division rival Chicago Bears, and that would be not a very good. It's another bad loss for this Packers offensive staff if that were to happen. So I say, Matt, if you're get onto this, promote him. I think that we are going to have Adam Stenavich. He's not going to be going to Denver to work with Nathaniel. So I think if I'm the Packers, I would promote Luke before the Bears have a chance to snatch him up. I think Luke Getsy is a very good candidate to take over as offensive coordinator for the Packers. We just may have to find a new quarterbacks coach, or it's possible that Luke can take on the dual role of offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. This is not uncommon, and like I said, Luke is just going to be taking over the spot of what Nathaniel had. He's not going to be the play caller. He is going to be involved in offensive meetings, and he will most likely be in that role. And it wouldn't surprise me if somebody else gets promoted from within to take over the quarterback's coaching spot. It wouldn't surprise me if we look elsewhere. Those are all things that are up for grabs here for how the Packers are going to go about this and what they want to do and how they see what's in the best interest of the Packers and all of that. So this tweet here by Ian Rappaport has been confirmed, and that's how it is going to be for the Packers. I also wouldn't surprise me if Adam Stenavich, he has a pretty good chance of being able to step up into that role too, because I think that Steno could possibly get offers on other teams, not just the Denver Broncos, but other teams could be looking for his services as an offensive coordinator if they see him as a fit for one. So Luke and Steno are just tremendous coaches. Either one is deserving of this offensive coordinating job, taking over from what Nathaniel taking over for Nathaniel. The Packers can't go wrong with either one, really, in my opinion. But I think if I had to pick one, I would go with Luke. Steno can do other things too. He's already a run game coordinator. Either one is good with me. And if we decide to go out of the Packers and we decide to hire Kevin or Brian, I'm all for it. And let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. And as always, go Pack, go.